Like, you apply concretely
Yep.
across the board, no matter what kind of dog it is, right?
Sure.
But is there like a situation where you're not as concerned with something with certain dogs as you are with other dogs? So I guess my example being like, you know, if someone, whether it's a friend or, you know, let's say I meet someone at the park or whatever, they come up and say, I want to, you know, can I pet your dog?
Sure.
I know based on all the videos I've watched already,
Yeah.
I know what the right answer
Yeah.
is, right? But I guess I'm wondering if there's any exception to the rule for someone who, like a lab,
Yeah,
right?
I get what you're
Who's,
saying.
like, super, you know, social and excitable and friendly. I'm not worried about any type of aggression.
No, I get what you're saying.
So, like, is that okay in your mind? And then number two, like, how do you approach that situation? Because I still don't want him, like, feeling like he can rush to.
Yeah. Good question, right? So I always say, like, my job is to educate people on what I do, right?
Sure.
And to give you the pros and cons of scenarios, right? So in an example like on-leash greetings, whether it's with dogs or with people, right? The pros and the cons are, or I should say the cons specifically are, if your dog is nervous or apprehensive, it puts them in a vulnerable position where flight's not an option and they're more likely to react.
Right.
If they really like other people and other dogs, you're creating a conditioned association of when you see other dogs or other people on the walk, get overstimulated.
Right.
The number one issue that clients come to me for is over-arousal issues on the walk. So even if you have the most friendly dog in the world, if you're constantly doing those things, you're creating more arousal and making your job harder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tack on to that when you get into socialization, for example, and this one's more with dogs than with people. When dogs are socializing, they have this process of like, all right, we're kind of sniffing each other and feeling each other out. Then we're like playing, we're competing, we're roughhousing and stuff like that. Right. And it's impossible for them to do that in that type of social scenario. Right. So it's like you're constantly putting in these dogs in this situation where it's like you're getting them like excited, like they're about to start doing this, and then you're removing them from the situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like it's just constantly teasing them and creating frustration. And then in the case of people,
and I guess I was more like, I get the dog,
the people, yeah.
I get, but like, all right, so I'm single right now.
Sure.
Right? So if a cute girl comes up to me and says, hey, I want to pet your dog, like,
listen, man,
I don't want to say no, right? So like, how would you handle it? Because I also don't want.
I understand.
We don't want them jumping on said person. We're taking care of that, right?
Yeah.
But I also don't want them just pulling towards her.
Yeah.
So is there a philosophy?
So you wait. Yeah. So knowing that the downfall to socializing him with a person is creating more over arousal issues.
Yeah.
Again, I probably still wouldn't do it, but there are plenty of clients I have out there that are like, you know what, if my dog gets a little excited, I can calm him down later and it's not the end of the world. And if I do it once every blue moon like that in a situation, right, it's probably not going to be the end of the world.
Got it.
Right?
It's like you can have your cake and eat it too, right?
Exactly.
Like,
you got to balance it out. And I told this story yesterday in a lesson. My wife used to be loose about that with her dog, right? Where she would go to the coffee shop and this, that, and she was meeting up with one of her friends. Yeah. As soon as she got to the coffee shop, she would tell Deli, okay, and Deli would go sprinting over to the person and like get some love and this and that. And it was fine. She wasn't aggressive or anything like that with people. But what started happening is because she did it so much with her, she started hitting a point where even though she was super well trained and she would hold position really nicely and stuff, she would get to the coffee shop and when she would see the person, before my wife even told her it was okay to go over, she would like rip her, you know, like charge to the end of the leash to try to get to that person, right? So she created a problem because she did it too much. Right? So we nixed it for a little bit. We eliminated it altogether. And listen, if my wife goes out with the dogs every now and then, I'm sure if she goes and meets up with a friend, she's still letting it happen from time to time. But she saw how it created the problem, and then she was able to address that and reduce the amount of time she was doing it so it didn't become a further issue. Right?
Sure.
So the cool thing is, like, once you understand a lot of these concepts and you understand, okay, if I start noticing this problem, this is why it's happening, you could kind of like
tighten it back up.
You could kind of like season it how you want to, you know what I mean? And like, you know, focus on things like you were asking originally, focus on things the way you want to focus on them. And if you start noticing issues, understand how to go in and tighten it up like you were saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's helpful.
And that's the cool thing about dog training is it's like I teach people to live the way that I live with my dogs and the things that I do with them. But in the end of the day, it's up to you to take what you're going to take and implement it how you need to.
Right. Yeah, and, you know, if to me it's not a problem, like you said,
Yes.
if to me it's not a problem that he gets a little excited,
Yes.
you know, when I let someone pet him, you know,
Yeah.
knowing that maybe the next time then he's gonna
Yeah.
maybe pull a little bit towards the next person a little harder because he thinks that
Yeah.
every person he sees is gonna, he's able to go up to. That's
Yep.
you know, that's kind of the
It's a give and take. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.